You make the effort to explore your environment, touching, seeing, hearing, smelling, even tasting, as you put indiscriminate things in your mouth for the sake of investigation. Now answer me this question. Are you exploring the elements of your environment as they engage your senses because you are getting paid for it? Now to that question some people have hastily responded with, yeah, but at that age you don't know what money is yet. Precisely. At the age of 2 you cannot be expected to have developed an understanding of the concept of currency. However, that still doesn't change the fact that from birth we are motivated to do things without a monetary incentive. The fact that we know of money or not is irrelevant. Now, thinking back to your youth, no particular age, can you recall the day you became lazy? Is there a specific date? Did it occur the day you learned of the concept of money? I mean, I dare say some people would possibly agree with that. Or did it happen over time without you being aware of its genesis or growth? And why did you think this process took hold over a period of time? Maybe because it is the system in which we live that is a direct and or indirect generator of these lazy behaviours? Think about it this way. You get home from a long, hard day's work, and what do the general population prefer to do? Immediately run upstairs and resume work on an engrossing personal project? Or do they switch on the TV, grab a beer from the fridge, slump down on the sofa and just mong out? You see that in our current system, we have two contrasting compulsions when it comes to hard work. We have the begrudging compliance with it, and we also have the couch potato lazy rejection of it. Because work on the whole is extremely unpleasant, also time consuming, life wasting, and not to mention soul destroying. We feel that our life energy even is being sucked out of us by having to go to jobs that we hate just so we can scrape together enough cash just so we could survive. Now that is a system that breeds laziness as a byproduct. We just see it as a coping mechanism. But does that mean that this behaviour will still be prevalent in a system where we wouldn't need to work at all? The notion of a hard day's work is a value that has been cultivated purely for economic benefit. If we didn't have such values, then there wouldn't be a deep-seated propensity in our society to prod us up the arse every time we wish to take it easy and take some time for ourselves. We start becoming guilty that we're not, doing hard graft or, any of the ridiculous notions of work that we have today. The problem with our current education and employment system is that we're only raised and educated to be a cog in the machine. However, in an RBE, people are free to pursue whatever line of education and or training they wish, so they can actually pursue the careers that they always wanted to. Think about it in terms of whatever your hobby is now will be your quote-unquote job. The reason why we splurge so much time and in most cases money on our hobbies is because they are personal interests and they provide personal incentive and personal pleasure. But our normal jobs, our normal hard-working jobs, we do not enjoy, do we? And the fact is, in an RBE, you will be free to do just that. As such, people will be encouraged through their education to contribute as much as they feel they can, because the more you provide for society, the more you receive in terms of what those improvements yield. For what makes society better, in turn makes your life better. Money itself is, as an incentive, is a pretty weak one really, since it only appeals to desperation on one side of the spectrum and self-centered greed on the other. Money does not motivate the millions upon millions of people every year who contribute their time for voluntary causes. Okay? Money did not motivate Nikola Tesla. In fact, money held him back. When he wished to gain funding for his wireless electricity concept, J.P. Morgan, who was his financial backer, said there was no money in providing an abundance of wireless energy. There was no money. Money did not motivate the Wright brothers. It did not motivate Einstein or Galileo or Michelangelo, all the greatest minds that have given us everything that has made our lives better and possible, when these people were not motivated by monetary concern. I can guarantee you right now that the only incentive that money generates is a reflection of what people gain from it, what they feed with it. And nothing positive constitutes towards the monetary incentive. So when you take the concept of money out of the equation altogether, then what other incentives come to light? And I'll tell you one thing, a hell of a lot more. How about respect and decency? The betterment of society as a whole, the betterment of yourself as an individual, space exploration, the knowledge that you can say to yourself that you can do things and that you know things. How about them as a list of non-monetary incentives? Okay, question 3. If you have a big computer running everything, then surely that would imply that machines would eventually develop rudimentary, then advanced intelligence, and make a judgment call that we are not worthy of continued life. Okay, this is what I like to call the classic iRobot argument. I have received this a lot in the past, so here we go. Machines have no feelings or ambition. They are merely complex pieces of technology. The uses of technology can be a potentially dangerous thing. However, we cannot blame technology directly, because there is no such thing as a bad or good piece of technology per se. It's all in how it's put to use. It's all a matter of tool application. I mean, a hammer, for example, is neither good nor bad. It is a tool, nothing more, nothing less. And it can either be used to kill and or destroy, or it can be used to build and or create. That's not to say that technology will not develop rudimentary intelligence in the future. Far from it. I mean, I hope that it will. However, we need not worry about that. I mean, as Jacques Fresco says, if you smash one laptop in front of 10 other laptops, the others won't conspire amongst themselves to avenge their friend. I mean, even the late Arthur C. Clarke remarked that the greater the degree of intelligence of a form of life, the higher the inclination towards cooperation. If there ever was a war between man and machine, it's pretty clear who would have started it. But I'll tell you what, let's just say, for a hypothetical scenario, let's just say that you're absolutely correct here. Let's just say that that Isaac Asimov's short story and the consequent Will Smith starring film is an empirical prophecy concerning the evolution of machine intelligence. So much so that machines become self-aware and decide that human beings need to be extinguished. Okay? Well, consider this reality with two separate scenarios. Number 1, we have somehow managed to keep the monetary system intact to the point in history where we are somehow capable of facilitating the development of artificial intelligence, or as I shall refer to it henceforth, AI, if I haven't already, to the point of self-awareness. Well, for one thing, it is an inevitability that the monetary economy will collapse way before we have the financial capability to fund such development and progression. But just assuming that we did, then yes, the outcome could possibly lead to our destruction. On the other hand, scenario number 2, we escape the collapse of the economy and shift into a resource-based economy, and thus enable ourselves with the freedom to progress technology and thus AI to astronomical levels, and thus they can become self-aware. Now, AI will look at our history and notice that we've actually learned from our mistakes and realize that we have actually changed, and thus are worthy of life because we have broken the destructive cycle and actually become civilized. They will, as a result, see us as equals, and coexistence will be viable. I mean, that's not a biased perspective there, that's just pure logic. Machines don't feel anything, they follow instructions, simple as that. Any expression of emotion will be nothing more than a simulation of human attributes if they are programmed in such a way. However, there's no real reason to program a production plant welding machine with the attributes of a father of five from London. The program will have to be done for a reason. Like, for example, a machine that interacts with humans. For example, food delivery would, it would be productive for a machine that engages in food delivery to be programmed with an amiable demeanour. I mean, that's just my perspective there. However, it also depends on whether it's actually needed. I mean, after all, I would personally find it quite strange to find my microwave actually addressing me with a series of pre-programmed phrases in a simulated attempt at conversation, when all that is needed is for the device to emit a ding when my food is ready. People also try and give the Terminator example. That's quite common. As though that in of itself is a clear example of machine life equaling malevolent anti-human intent. Well, first of all, there's something very important that you need to keep in mind here. Something that those who claim the Terminator example always conveniently either forget or ignore. The Terminators were originally programmed to kill humans. That's it. No malevolent intent. No homicidal neurosis. It is nothing but mere compliance to programming. Granted, as the AI of the Terminators progressed, it sought to expand on its intentions, but it still stuck rigidly to its initial programming. When something evolves, it changes. Evolution isn't just a process of optimization, it's also a process of re-evaluation. Does it not strike you as particularly strange that the Terminator's AI doesn't think to question its own motives and the moral logic behind it? It can't, because it was programmed to kill and nothing more. Also, to add an additional angle on this, an example Ben McLeish gave at Z-Day last year. It was on this subject. He put up a picture of the Terminator, and he basically said that no optimal killing machine would look humanoid. No optimal killing machine would look like us. And just at that point, a woman near the back of the auditorium, actually like in the row behind me, she shouted out, "Why not?" To which Ben McLeish just thought for a second and just leaned closer to the mic and said, "'Cause it's easier to move about on wheels." I just love that part. I mean, the erroneous idea of machines rising up and killing and enslaving humanity is based upon the destructive Hollywood concept that we have been fed for decades, and society as a whole doesn't really have anything to think on the future with other than the projections provided by Hollywood. No wonder the cultural bias has permeated so deeply and well, because all you see of the future in Hollywood is death, destruction, war, and apocalypse. I'll tell you what, I'll give you guys a challenge. Name me one film that paints the future of humanity on this planet in this dimension as completely positive and free of any of the aberrant conditions we have now or had at any point in history. One film that paints a truly positive picture for humanity. Now, I'm a big film fan. Okay, I know I've seen a lot of films. I mean, growing up, a lot of films I did watch are about the future, and I can't find one. Can you guys? I mean, surely, message me and see if you can, but I certainly haven't. Okay, moving on, question 4, because we really need to make progress here. TVP is a project founded on the idea that the fundamental problem in our world is the current profit-driven economic system, causing poverty, corruption and greed. I would certainly agree there. TVP founders actively advocate for a